Bom dia, pessoal. Tudo bem? Vamos começar hoje. Eu queria só, primeiro, ter certeza se vocês baixaram o QGIS e o SWAT Plus. Se está tudo certo aí, todo mundo conseguiu, tá? Para a gente começar, tá bom? So it's all set. Let me para quem estiver online aí assistindo também, por favor, quem não tiver baixado, baixe o QGIS e o SWAT Plus para a gente utilizar hoje, que a gente vai fazer um tutorial, tá? Obrigada. Okay, so you can start, Trini, if you want to.
Sure. So one of the nice thing about, first of all, good morning. One of the nice thing about QSWAT Plus is after you install, anytime you need to upgrade, you don't have to uninstall anything. You just install on top of existing, so that it can be. In other words, you don't have to, every time you need to uninstall and reinstall, you can just install on top of what you have right now. And it also, every time you open the project, it also checks our website, if you are on the internet, to see if there is a latest version. So if there is a latest version, it will also ask you, do you want to upgrade? And you can upgrade. So this is one of the major change from the current QSWAT or ArcSWAT to QSWAT Plus. Okay? So it comes with two pieces of software. One is the QSWAT Plus, which is the GIS interface, and the SWAT Plus editor. Okay, so there is one software called QSWAT Plus, and then SWAT Plus editor. Okay, you can download combined both together, or you can download them individually also actually. Okay, depending on what you're working on. Then you can also join any of this group actually, so that if you have questions, anything, you can post your questions directly on these websites. So you have a QSWAT Plus group, SWAT Plus editor group, and then the SWAT Plus model group actually. So if you have questions related to model, you want to post here. If it is question related to GIS or the interface, you can put it on the QSWAT Plus. If it is question related to SWAT Plus editor, you can do that. So there are lots of users actively participating to answer any questions you may have. Okay? And this is a new one. It's still undergoing a lot of testing. You're welcome to test it. So this is not going to replace SWAT Plus CUP. SWAT Plus CUP is going to be the calibration and uncertainty program. Very similar to SWAT CUP. But we also have developed a newer one called IPEAT, actually. So you may want to check it out. It's a very brand new software actually developed by a small group of individuals, and there is a paper that you can download and read about it more. So it doesn't have the same type of interface as SWAT Plus CUP. You have to do a lot of manually you have to put together the input files and things like that. But still, it's useful. And we have started putting few of the key publications to learn more about SWAT Plus and its capability. So you can download these papers directly from this website. Okay? So take a look at these, and if you have any questions, we can talk about more actually. Again, please ask questions. That's the best way for all of us to learn about the model and the software and so on. So this is, I just opened a QSWAT Plus interface, or QSWAT to be specific. And after you install the QSWAT, you have to go to the plugins. If you don't see QSWAT Plus already activated here, you have to click Manage and Install Plugin. When you click here, it will show you a list of all the program that you have installed. So this is the installed. Do you see this here, install? So you can see we have several different things installed. One of the things is going to be QSWAT Plus 64. So make sure you check this box. If you don't check it, you will not see that menu here. Okay? If this extension need to be checked. If I uncheck it, it will say, for example, I can't show you right now, but let me close. So when I go here, you see the SWAT plus icon. Okay. So if I uncheck this here and click close, now you won't see this anymore. Okay. So you have to make sure you check this box so that you activate QSWAT plus. Then close. So now you will be able to see the SWAT plus here. You can also see the SWAT plus under SWAT plus plugin. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So to start a new project, so click on QSWAT plus. It should open a new menu. Those who have used QSWAT, this will be very, very similar. Okay? So the differences are very minor actually, but there are differences, but it's very minor. So here is how you can create a new project or work on an existing project. And it also has parameters, QSWAT plus parameters. So when you click here, QSWAT plus parameters, you'll see this menu here. So where did you install SWAT plus software? This is the location where the SWAT plus default folder where SWAT plus gets installed. If you are using MPI, what is MPI? MPI is multiple processor implementation. So if you have multi-core processor, you can take advantage of parallel processing in QGIS and QSWAT. Okay? But you need to install this software called MPI. It's a free software from Microsoft. So if you installed it, then you should check the box. Otherwise, don't check this box in your machine. Otherwise, it will give you an error message. Okay, only if you install it. Typically, it gets installed in this folder. C, Program Files, Microsoft MPI, and bin. That's where it gets installed. Okay. I think in our SWAT website, SWAT Plus website, we may have, nope, we did not put it here, but under the QSWAT, we may have the same. It's the same, okay. Nope, it didn't have it here either. So, yeah, we should add it somewhere. Okay, we will get it. We will add it here soon. So if you want to download MPI, I mean, you can do it later. You don't need it for this workshop, but later you may want to do it. For large project, it's advisable to have that MPI. So if you just do Microsoft MPI, so it's called Message Passing Interface, so you can download the MPI version directly, okay? And then install. So what this will do is it will allow you to use all your processor. For example, if you don't know how many processors you have, you right-click on this lower bottom here. You right-click and go to the Task Manager. And under the Performance, you'll see how many CPU you have actually. So in this example, I mean, in my machine, I have 4. If you just see only one, you may need to go to the View. Yeah, you may just click on this graph and change the graph to logical processor. Then it will show you. Otherwise, normally it will show you just one graph. If you go and ask to show the logical processor, then it will show you how many real processor you have. Does that make sense? No? Okay, let me show you one more time. So make sure you are in this here on the lower one, right click, go to the task manager. And do you see this tab, performance? And do you see a graph here? Okay, right click on that graph, change the graph to logical processor, the second one. Okay? You should see the...
Todo mundo conseguiu ver quantos CPUs tem? Sim. Ver os gráficos diferentes? Maybe. Sim?
Okay?
Okay.
Good.
I don't think they don't need to
No,
download
you don't have to download
No.
right now the MPI. I'm just showing you for your watershed, if the size is very large, it's advantage to use MPI, but not for today. Not for, you mean here?
And the QSWAT.
Oh, in the QSWAT,
Yeah.
yes. So, yes, in the QSWAT, let me minimize it. If you have installed, check this box. If you did not install, uncheck it. Don't check it. Okay. Yeah, by default, it won't be checked. Only if it is installed, then only it will be checked. Okay? Yeah. And we also have few other parameters. This is not used to be like this in QSWAT. In QSWAT Plus, we are allowing you to adjust the width and the depth of your channel or river. Okay? Because one of the input required for SWAT, for hydrologic routing, we need to know the width and the depth of your channel or your river. Okay? We use this equation that's shown here to estimate the width and depth. This was derived from a large number of observation and using a regression function. Okay? So this is more like a exponential function. Okay? E times y to the power x. So these are the constants in that equation. You can adjust this. So let's say you run the model, you estimate the width and depth, and you have some field measurements you can compare. And if that numbers are not the same, or if the numbers are too much different, I mean, let's say the field is saying 2 meters and the model is saying 1.8, we are still okay. But if the field is saying 20 meters and the model is saying 1.8, then only we have a problem. Okay? If there is a huge difference between what you observe in the field versus what is estimated using this equation, then you can come here and adjust this equation. Okay? You can develop your own function using field observation and input this constant directly. Okay? One for width, one for depth. Does that make sense? Okay. Then we have a few other multipliers, basically. So if you are changing units and things like that, you can do that. For example, if you are using LiDAR data set and your elevation is in millimeter, whereas the grid size may be in meters. So when you compute the slope, you have to convert the millimeter to meters, right? So those are all the factors you can apply to compute slopes and things like that. Okay? Most likely you will not face this situation, but there are projects where people use LiDAR or drone. Okay? So if they use elevation data set from a drone, your units may be different. Okay? It's maybe millimeter, centimeter, and the horizontal will be in meters, so you have to do the conversions. Okay? There are few other things here. Actually, again, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. Okay? Oh, the nice thing about this is now we have a size of your font. So if you are starting to see some of the wording starting to cut off in the interface, that means your resolution is too high or too low. So you can adjust this to increase your menu font size. Okay? So that's a new feature in QSWAT Plus. Any questions so far? Good. Then next is going to be, we are going to create a new project. We are going to use the example data set that comes with QSWOT+. This is an example data set from Ethiopia. Okay? So that it's very generic, just like if you put together your data set, it's going to look very similar to that actually, because in the US, we have a lot of this data is pre-built actually. If you use the US data set, it's much, much quicker and easier and whatnot. But when you're doing outside the US, then you have to prepare a lot of these data sets by hand. So that's why we are using Ethiopian example for training purpose. So let's click on New SWAT Project. So the first thing you have to do is you have to select a folder where you want to create your project, right? You can use any folder you want as long as you have permission to read, write, execute, meaning you have full control in that folder actually. So in my case, I'm going to go to my C folder and I'm going to go to my temp folder. You can create any place you want, okay? And then after the temp folder, I have a folder called SWAT. And within that, I have a folder called SWAT+. So you can put it in any place if you want. So I'm going to just select SWAT+, and then say select this folder. Okay? As soon as you select the folder, it's going to ask you, what do you want to name your project? Okay, I'm going to call it as demo. It's highly advisable, don't have any special characters in your file name, folder name. Don't put spaces, don't put period, okay? Don't put question mark, things like that actually. Try to keep it simple. Your folder names and the project name, keep it simple. And one more thing is, I did not know this until yesterday, is don't name your project test. Okay? We are using test internally for doing a lot of our tests as we develop the software. We should change actually. People normally use test more often than, so we should use some other code name actually, but we are using test, so whenever it uses test, the code goes into that section of the program which is still in the development. It is not complete. Once it's complete, it will move to the main code actually. So I just, in a hard way, I found that out yesterday actually. So don't use test. You can use any name except test. Okay? So let's say demo 1 and then click OK. So what we are doing is we are just creating a folder structure. Okay? If I go to that folder, for example, if I go to my C folder, temp, SWAT, SWAT+. This is where I put my project. I just created a project called demo 1. So it created a folder here. Under that, it created the different directory structure used by QSWAT+. The major difference between QSWAT and QSWAT+ is we are now using SQLite as our database. We are no longer using Microsoft Access. So that thereby QSWAT+ is completely public domain. We don't even depend on Microsoft Access anymore. Plus, you can port QSWAT+ to Macintosh, okay, MacBooks, as well as to Linux. So QSWAT+ currently can run both on Mac and Windows, and we are working on the Linux one actually. So very soon, QSWAT will run in all 3 platforms. So you don't have to worry about which operating system you're running anymore. That's another major benefit of QSWAT+. Okay? So the demo 1 is your project database, and the SWAT+ data set is the model database that contains all the information related to your model, like crop database, soil database, things like that actually. Whereas the demo one is specific to your project, your watershed. So in this case, the Ethiopian watershed. Okay, the example Ethiopian watershed we are going to build, it's going to upload to this database here. Remember, previously in QSWAT and ArcSWAT, there is a limitation of 2 gigabyte because of the access database. You no longer have that limitation either, actually. So your file size can get bigger. Okay? So if it's a very large project, like if you're working on San Francisco River Basin or Para River Basin or Amazonia Basin, your file size can get big, actually. So there is no limit using QSWAT Plus anymore. Does that make sense? If you have questions, please jump in anytime, okay? Okay. So now we have created a new project, and you can also look at the project name and the path to the project name right here. So if you forget where you saved it, you can also see the path right here. Okay? Oh, because we are using SQLite, you may want to download this software called SQLite Browser or SQLite Studio. Okay, here it is. So there is a program called SQLite Studio, which is a free program that helps you to open any SQLite database, edit, modify. So if you don't want to use our interface to do that, if you want to do it outside the interface directly, you can use this software also. Okay? It gives you opportunity to open your database, edit, query the database. So those who are familiar with databases, they normally use SQLite Studio. Okay? It's a free software that you can download and use that with this. You don't need it for QSWAT Plus, but if you want to use it, you are welcome to do that too. And we also have provided this export table option. Okay? So you can export any file or any table from your SQLite to an ASCII table. That could be open in Excel or Notepad or anything like that to do further editing. Okay? So if you click on here, you can select your database, your project database, whatever, and then you can select what table you want to export from here, actually. Okay? You won't use this regularly, but you can do that if you want to. Yes? This slide? I mean, we are not doing any export here, just showing you how you can export if you want to export a table from your database, okay? Any questions so far? Okay, so the first step in developing the QSWAT input is going to be delineating your watershed. Okay. You see there are 3 steps here. You have to complete each step before you can go to the next step. Okay. Once you finish the last step, once you successfully run the model, there will be a 4th step that will come in that will show you the visualization, how to visualize your output. Like you can do graph, you can do maps, you can do animation, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with the model outputs. Okay, so that's what the 4th step will be. So let me go ahead and click on delineate a watershed. So this is the menu to delineate your watershed. This is not much change between QSWAT and QSWAT Plus. It's very similar. The first thing you have to select DEM. So before you come and start working with QSWOT Plus or QSWOT, make sure you have 4 GIS information. Your elevation, land use, soils, and weather, precipitation and temperature. At the minimum, precipitation and temperature. Okay? So these are the 4 data you need: land use, soils, elevation, and weather. The land use, soil, and elevation has to be in a projected format. It cannot be latitude, longitude projection. It can be any projection other than latitude, longitude. But they all have to be in the same projection, exactly the same projection. They can't be in 2 different projections. Okay? But it cannot be latitude, longitude. Okay?
Soil file means texture?
Okay, soil file means soil polygons. What are the unique soil boundaries? Then for each soil boundary, you have the soil properties. So the soil properties will be both spatial and in depth, like horizons. Layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. Okay? So that includes, later I will show you, that includes things like bulk density, water holding capacity, saturation conductivity, sand, silt, clay, organic carbon, soil depth.
But they all have different boundaries.
That's right. Yeah. Okay? So we'll go through that soil a lot more detail later. Okay, so make sure you have your data all projected in the same projection before you start your project. So click here. Anytime you move your mouse, it will give you explanation about what that input requirement and things like that. So you'll see the help text. So I'm going to click here. So now we have to navigate to the folder where you have all your input data sets. Okay. So in this case, we are going to use a demo project that comes with QSWOT Plus. So you have installed QSWOT Plus where it's in C folder, SWOT folder, SWOT Plus folder within that. Okay. So you have to go to C, SWOT, SWOT Plus. This is the default location. If you install in another directory, then you have to go to that directory. If you install in another folder, you should navigate to that folder. Otherwise, it's C, SWOT, SWOT Plus, and you will see here the example data set. Okay, example data set. The watershed name is Robert. Robert is the name of the watershed in Ethiopia. So double click that. So now you'll see all the data sets here. So far so good. Any questions? Anybody? Okay. And if anybody online has got questions, I don't know how they will reach out to you. Oh, they text you? Okay. Good? Okay. So here you can see we have the climate database, the elevation data set, the land use, the soil database, and so on. There are a few other data sets like streams, outlet. These are all optional. You don't need it, but if you have them, you can use them. I'll tell you why you have to use streams, okay? So let me first load the elevation. So click on elevation or DEM. DEM is elevation, digital elevation model. DEM is elevation. So it's a SRTM, it's a 30-meter resolution data set. You can see you can input directly ArcGIS grid or TIFF, GeoTIFF. You can input either format. Okay? If you are using ArcGIS grid format, you should use, this is ArcGIS grid format. You should use HDR file. That means header. HDR means header file. If you are using the GeoTIFF file, directly click the GeoTIFF file. QSWAT always work with GeoTIFF. So even if you give ArcGIS grid file, it will convert that to GeoTIFF in your project folder, and it uses the processing. Okay, we will import that data directly into, so that you don't have to worry about either you have prepared your data set or somebody gave you the data set in ArcGIS or QGIS format. It doesn't matter. Okay? So you have to just select, make sure you select the appropriate file. So in this case, header.adf. And then click open. So we always make a copy of your data set. So you can see we make a copy and display that copy. And you can also see that we copied your data sets into your demo1 folder in this place, and we converted that into TIFF file. We never modify your original data. We always make a copy of your data and put it in the project folder. Okay, so all the processings are done in what's in your project folder. It will never modify your original input data set. Does that make sense so far? Okay. Any questions so far? We are good? The next one is burning existing stream network. What does this mean? Can anybody want to say anything about what does burn-in means? As the name suggests, burn-in means we are burning a stream, meaning burning means we are superimposing, we are overlaying a stream network, and we are going to make that stream so that all the DEM, all the elevation will flow into that stream network. Okay? It is forcing your watershed to flow through that stream network that you did. So what we are saying here is the stream network is more accurate than my DEM. So the DEM may have a problem, but my stream network is hand digitized, and it's much more close to the reality or close to the observation or close to the ground truth. Okay, so you can use that. When would you use this actually? I mean, you don't have to use it if your elevation is really good. If the data is good, you don't need to use this feature. This is optional. Okay, this is not a required input. It's optional. When would you use it? You will use it if your land is very flat. Okay, we really don't know where the streams are going because the DEM cannot tell you how the stream is flowing. So in that situation, you may want to use burn-in option. Or if there are area where you have a lot of man-made streams, okay, like urban area. Okay, if you go to Sao Paulo, you have lots of drainage system, right? Those are all not natural. Or if you have irrigation canals, that is not natural. Or if you have a drainage ditch to drain the water from the field, that is not natural. So anything that is artificial, you may want to use stream network to define. The only requirement is it needs to be a shapefile. It's a line shapefile, polyline shapefile. You have to provide both the natural and the artificial streams in one file. Okay? You can't let the program say delineate natural from elevation and I'm going to give you supply only the artificial. No, you have to give both together in one file. And make sure that file is connected all the way. So you don't want to have any gaps. Okay? You don't want to, when you connect your artificial to the natural stream flow, streamlines, you cannot have any gaps. Okay? So there are certain things you need to take care of. If you don't do that, then you will not use the full benefit of the burning option. Okay? So you don't have to do anything, you just watch me. I'm going to show you with and without how that works actually. Okay? So you don't have to do anything, you just watch my screen for a second. Okay? So, okay, your question, okay.
Okay, so if you want to include these streams, we have to include the shapefile as a polyline. And it should have an information like elevation,
no,
or
nothing.
just the polyline, and
No,
that's
just, yeah. You don't need any attribute table to the polyline. All we need is the line features
Okay.
with starting and ending all the way from top of the watershed to the bottom of the watershed. You can't just give partial, you can't just give only artificial. It has to be both artificial streamlines and the natural streamline all integrated in one file. But no associated attribute is required for this actually.
Okay, thank you.
So the first thing I'm going to show you is without the burning the streams, what will happen actually. So the next two questions, so you don't have to do it, you just watch me first, okay? So the next two options, previously used to have only one option in QSWAT, now we have two options, okay? So what is this? There is a thing called channel and there is a thing called stream. What is the difference between channel and stream in QSWAT Plus? Stream is the one that connects from one subbasin to another subbasin. Channel means within the subbasin. The tributaries within the subbasin is considered channel. So yesterday we talked about the first order, second order. Those will be all channels. So the third order will be typically the streams that connects from one subbasin to another subbasin. You can specify two different thresholds. Okay? So by default, one is about 100 times more. Sorry, 10 times more. So stream threshold is 10 times more than the channel threshold. Okay? So this is the number of cells. What is cell here? Cell is 30 meter by 30 meter. Okay? So one cell is equal to 0.09 hectare, roughly. Or you can also mention this by any unit you want, by square kilometer, by hectare, by whatever area you are comfortable unit, you can specify that actually. Let's say you want to do it by hectare, okay? It will automatically convert it. So you're talking about 8.9 hectares for channel. So that means every time there is an 8.9 hectares, we define our channel. The first order channels, the second order channels. Okay, depending on your size of the watershed, you can make it as small as you want or as big as you want actually. Okay? Which one? Units? Yeah, you can change it if you prefer whatever unit you want actually. Yeah, you can do it in square kilometer or hectares, square meters if you want. And those who are in the US, they prefer miles, acres, feet. So those are all for English units. But for the metric, you can use any one of those three options. Okay? So again, I'll show you different options. Let's say if I want to make this to be 100. So we are saying every time there is 100 hectare, I want to define my stream. So this needs to be always bigger than this. You can't, the streams cannot be smaller than the channel. Okay? So let's say I want this to be, I don't know, maybe 500 hectares. So it will automatically calculate based on this hectares, it will calculate how many cells, the number of cells. This is just an example, so just watch me. You don't have to do anything. So I'm going to say create streams. So you can see the programs running in the background. What program is running, you can see in the lower. So now, let me minimize this. Okay, you can see that this light blue, okay, do you see this light blue? So this is your channel. The dark blue is your streams. Okay? So that means at this location, you have at least 100 hectares of area is draining at that point. Okay? At least there is 100 hectares of landscape or land is draining at that location. So that's a minimum area needed to start to define your stream network. Okay? So as it defines, as soon as it joins the main one, so this is the starting point for the 500 hectares. Okay? So up to this is channel, then after that it's a stream. Do you see any questions in? Yes.
The cell size is always 30 meters by 30
No,
meters?
it's up to what you provide. It's your data, right? So if you say 100 meters, then it will be 100 meters.
Mm-hmm.
If it is 1 meter, then it will be 1 meter. So it is your input.
And where do I change it? I change it
I mean,
before?
when you process your data, when you import or when you download the DEM data,
DEM.
depending on who provides the data, you can change it right there. You can resample. So there is a program called resample, the grid, from one cell size to another cell size. You can do that. Yeah. Okay, so this gives you the 100 hectares and 500 hectares. So hope you can save this in your memory. Take a picture of this on your memory, not your phone. So now let's try the same thing with 10 hectares as my channel and 100 hectares as my streams. So what we are saying is, if this is 100 hectares, now I want to start my streams from here actually, because that's what we are saying, 100 hectares. And I want my channels to be 10 hectares. That means it's going to go into the field and try to capture every small watershed. Okay, every small field. So every field will be connected now. Okay, so I'm going to try that, and I'm going to say create. So let me move this as much as I can so that you can see both before and after. Okay, create streams. If you watch it, it's going to grow now. Okay, so now you can see there are lots of small, tiny streams coming off of here actually. So that means every one of these channels, this is the first order channel, this is the second order channel, and now this is the third order channel. So this is, at this point, you have 10 hectares draining here actually. And this point, you have another 10 hectares draining here. And we are defining the streams, and as you go down, you will come to at this point, you have 100 hectares at least. Does that make sense? So the threshold is mainly to define how. No, that's yours. Yeah. Okay. How detailed you want your stream to be defined in the watershed. Okay? It basically defines what we call drainage density. Does that make sense? Any questions in understanding this concept? What is channel? What is streams? How does your size that you select, threshold you select can affect? There is no magic number in terms of what should be input. It depends on your watershed. It depends on your heterogeneity. So if I'm in the US, the lands are very monoculture. Agriculture means agriculture as far as you can see. If it's a grassland, it's a grassland. We are not going to see a lot of mixed land uses there actually. Okay? So if there is a lot of topographic changes, then you may want to define smaller in that case. If the land is very flat, you may not need to do that actually. So there are lots of factors you should consider before selecting a threshold. Okay? So one other thing that I want to show you here is the thing that we are going to model is this river here.
Professor,
Yeah.
our friends from Campina Grande are asking, how can we find the ideal proportional?
Yeah, that's what I was saying actually. It depends on the watershed, it depends on your project, depends on how big. Okay, if you are going to do something like San Francisco Basin, 10 hectares will be too detailed to deal with actually. Okay, so if you are doing it on a very, very small basin like maybe, what is the one other one that you worked on, the one small one, the upper portion near the Sao Paulo, the lake area. Okay, the upper part, a small, yeah. So something like that actually, where you're talking about less than, say, 500 square kilometer watershed or less, then you can go to much more detail. So this is mainly driven by the quality of your data, the quality of your elevation, and the size of your watershed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're asking if they have to try out like
Yes.
some numbers and
Yes,
see what is
yes,
better.
exactly. I think it's the best way to do is you can iteratively try. I mean, because the interface is very relatively faster, you can even set up two different, same thing, with two different thresholds and build a model and see which one is better representative for your watershed. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I think that's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. So this is the stream that we are going to model, but I wanted to show you that if I load, let me show you, let me load the streams. So to load a new stream, you can click here to load it. I'm going to go to my data set, see SWAT. You don't have to do it, I'm just trying to show you what the difference is. Example data set, Robit streams. So here is the shapefile. SHP is the shapefile. And click open, add, then close. So this is the actual streams. You see this light color? I don't know whether you can see it very well. Maybe let me change the color. Give me 1 second. I don't know. Can you see? Can you see it? No, not very well. Okay. I'm not good at selecting the color. Let me see if I can. Okay, there you go. Can you see the red color here? So as you will see, the river is actually flowing this way. There are two tributaries. When you do it at DEM, this river turns right here and joins this river actually. So there is no river this segment. That's because of the poor quality of your elevation data set. So this is the place where you can provide your own streams so that it will automatically correct your network so that you will see the two streams flowing actually. Okay? So this is the reason why you can use your own streams map to burn the streams. Yes?
In my project, I used the burn-in,
Okay.
and even though the streams, they were not connected. So I don't know if I was...
No, you don't have to be connected actually. The main thing about the streams is, the burning in stream is to correct anything that is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If, let's say you use your elevation to go out and create your stream network, then you overlay your own streams. And if they are very close, then you don't have to burn the streams. It's only when they are not agreeing, like I'm showing here.
Yeah, like in my case, like the mainstream, they would like stop suddenly and then continue like all of a sudden like way down
Okay.
here. So there was like a gap here.
Yeah.
And and then there was no connection when I was generating the main watershed. It would come from the from here instead of here, you know.
But when you put the burn in, did you connect the two lines?
Yeah, but I don't know what happened. Didn't connect. Didn't work with the burning.
Okay, just double check to make sure the burn-in is continuous file. It is not disconnected.
Okay.
Okay, that's very important.
Because it should work, right?
It should work.
Okay.
It should work. Theoretically speaking, it should work.
Vou falar em português, tá? Em relação à precisão, o que é melhor? A gente usar o DEN do INPE ou fazer o modelo a partir da carta topográfica?
She's asking if it's better. It's again in which one to use. So if it's better to use like a corrected SRTM from INPE or something like that, or if it's better to use like a topographic letter that you have
Contours and things like that.
Contours and all of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be a tough call. I mean, the best way to do that would be to delineate whatever the sources. You can use both simultaneously and then overlay the digitized or any other source of DM. Like, for example, I don't know whether Anna, does Anna have a stream
So,
map?
I was going to say,
Okay.
in my case, one of the watersheds that I did on my PhD, what I had different sources, like from Embrapa, the SRTM corrected, and also Aster database from 90 meters, 30 meters, and I didn't know what to use. So I had them, and then I delineated my watershed with them. So I saw the different streams and the different networks that I had. And I also got the ENA, our national agency, their delineation of streams to check. And I also knew the watershed, so I knew a few points that were different that I had, for example, to maybe correct that. So with burn-in. And then I selected one of them to use that I thought was better for my case specific. So I think what Srini was saying is that there is no exact solution or right one. It's you have to check on your watershed to see what is better for, and depending on the purpose that you're working on.
Okay. So for this reason, I'm going to go back and try to burn in. So here also you can see the river going this direction, whereas the natural, from the DEM, it's showing here actually. So there are lots of differences between the two. So I'm going to now burn in. So now if you want to follow me, we can all do it together actually. So select burn in. And we are going to select the streams map. So you have to check this box before you're selecting it. And make sure under ROBIT, go to the ROBIT streams. And select the shape file actually, SHP file. So this is the same place where you had SWAT, C, SWAT, SWAT plus, example data set, ROBIT, and ROBIT streams. So here, you simply select the shapefile. Yeah.
I was thinking now too, because another way of checking, because sometimes here in Brazil we don't have all the delineation of the streams, or our urban areas, we don't have that all checked and correctly done. So if you don't, one way of doing that, and that's something that I did recently too, is that you can check remote sensing imagery or even Google Earth imagery to make sure that you're doing something that is close to reality in some cases, or especially like for flat areas like Srini was saying, or like we were doing in Amazon region, and our DM had a lot of problems, so I had to correct that before doing it. So I think it's something that you can check and decide what is better for you too.
Okay, so once you select the shapefile, click open. So now we are going to use this shapefile to burn the streams. I mean, if you agree with this 10 hectares, we'll just leave it, make sure you select hectares and put 10 and 100 and then say create streams. So now we are going to create the streams after burning the stream. So if you check, especially this area here, you'll see the lines changing, line correcting to the burn streams. So I'm going to say create streams. Okay, so now you can see this is corrected. It's no longer connecting this way. So your stream, delineated stream, is very close to your burned streams. Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions, comments? Daniele mentioned about the satellite imagery. So if you install the program properly, you can bring in the interface has changed slightly. Let me try to find out. WCS. No, it needs to be 3.4.
Srini, can I
Yes.
ask, in a very simple way, what is exactly the difference between delineated streams and burning streams? I didn't really get,
the delineated streams is the stream that is based on your topography only, okay? But sometimes the topo maps are not perfect, especially in the areas where the land is flat or where there is a human impact like irrigation canals, okay? It is not natural. If somebody dig the canal to route the water. So in those situations, your DM doesn't know that you have changed the elevation there actually. So by burning the streams, you are making the artificial, like man-made, and the natural into one piece or one single stream network.
But when you have the shapefile of a stream, so why does it necessary to do delineated one?
Again, if you have that and if you are confident, no need. You can just give the burn-in streams. If you have already digitized streams and you want to use that, you can always do that actually. But sometimes people may not have that, or sometimes they have only partial, not full. They may have only the man-made streams, not the natural streams. So you may have to run through the natural streams and then combine that with the artificial streams and make it as one complete, comprehensive stream network.
Srini, could I explain again?
Yeah.
So some people were asking me.
Yeah,
so
maybe in Portuguese
in
too.
Portuguese, I'll do that. Então, eu vou explicar de novo, para quem já entendeu, ótimo. Para quem não entendeu, vou só deixar mais claro. Tem duas opções, né, que o Srini estava mostrando. Então, você pode fazer a delineação toda da sua rede de drenagem. Então, tanto dos canais, que aí seriam os rios menores. Então, aqui pensando em primeira ordem, segunda ordem. E aí, esses canais vão para os streams, né, que são a definição dentro do SWOT, tá? Que seriam os rios já de terceira ordem. Então, você pode utilizar o seu mapa de elevação, que aqui no caso é o DEM, ou a gente fala muito MDE ou MDT, certo? Mapa digital de elevação ou de terreno. Então, a gente usa o seu mapa digital de elevação para criar a sua rede de drenagem. E foi isso que ele fez ali, selecionando as diferentes áreas de drenagem para definir aí uma área de drenagem que seria para definir um canal, que são esses daqui, são esses azul claro aqui, né, esses menores. Então, ele até mostrou um exemplo. Vou falar 10 hectares, né? 10 hectares. Então, a partir de uma área de drenagem de 10 hectares aqui, eu vou ter uma criação de um canal, tá, que vai começar. E aí, para o stream, já seria uma área de drenagem maior também, 100 hectares, por exemplo. Foi o exemplo dele, ou 500. E aí é algo que você tem que mexer e definir o que é melhor na sua bacia. Então, essa é uma opção. Só que o que acontece, principalmente em áreas muito planas, ou áreas em que o seu modelo digital de elevação não é tão bom, tá? Ou áreas que têm muita intervenção humana, então tem canais construídos, tem rede de drenagem artificial, principalmente áreas urbanas aqui no Brasil, certo? Por exemplo. Então, a sua rede de drenagem ela está longe de ser igual ao que seria definida pelo mapa digital de elevação. Né? Então, aí você pode pegar uma rede de drenagem pré-existente que você tenha já, ou você pode construir uma combinada. Então, você pode fazer a sua própria rede de drenagem aí achando que é melhor para você na sua região. E aí, o que você fala? Eu vou utilizar essa rede de drenagem. Eu não quero utilizar a definida pelo meu modelo de elevação. Por isso que ele utiliza essa palavra que é o burn-in. Então, eu vou superimpor uma rede de drenagem e falar assim, é nessa rede de drenagem que vai acontecer o fluxo de água. Tá? Então, aí todo o modelo vai atuar dessa maneira. Tem que ser um shapefile, exatamente. Claro, não precisa ser assim, por exemplo, você pode fazer isso de forma interativa. Então, primeiro você faz, você olha o que deu no SWOT, aí você volta, reconstrói a sua rede, né? Mas no final você tem que ter um shapefile que aí você vai utilizar aí dentro do modelo. Tá? Tem alguma dúvida, gente? Podem perguntar, é bom que fique bem claro. Tá, legal, ok. Ok.
Yeah, I think we are going to take a coffee break. Before that, I just want to tell you what Daniela was talking about. If you install this Quick Map Services, it's a plugin. If you install this from QGIS, you'll be able to put Google Map or Bing Map or any of these global satellite maps as a background that you can select actually. Yeah. So I'm showing you here is a Bing map, and I also have Google Map on top. So you can choose one of the two sources to see if the streams are really where they are actually. So this is the big lake that all this river is flowing into. So you'll be able to see you can see as I zoom in.
I'll fazer de novo, yeah. Can you show it again? Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, you need to install the plugin. When you do the plugins, there is a plugin called Quick Map Services. Do you see this one? If you don't have that, you can go here, go to the All, and go and look for the Quick Map Services and ask to install. Okay? So once you install it, once you activate it, you should see a menu here. From here, you can choose, I want to do Bing Map, or I want to do Google Map, or there is so many other options here actually. You can choose from any of them to display the satellite imagery. So once I have satellite imagery, when I zoom in, I'll be able to see even in the individual field. Look at the streams, the actual streams. This is the actual streams, the digitized streams. But this is based on the DEM, the best approximation of your stream. Mm-hmm. So that shows you there is always going to be some difference between actual digitized streams.
So it's Quick Map Services.
Quick Map Services. Okay.
So this is very useful, especially if you don't have your
so this
correct
one,
drainage.
Quick Map Services.
After doing that, you have to go on web. You have to select settings.
Yeah.
Go to the tab more services and get contributed pack. So you're gonna be available the Google, Bing, and all those databases. Otherwise, it's not available.
Oh.
Yes.
I did not do that because maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are downloading. If you are in China, you may not get any of this stuff actually. Okay. So depending on where you are, some country restricts what they can access. Okay, I think we are ready for our break.
Well, I think there was a question. Are you one?
Oh.
Does he want?
Sorry, just very quick question. Do you have an indication of one of these maps to use for digital elevation model, for example? Because we have many here, and I don't know, but 80% of them.
Oh, you mean the satellite
yes,
maps?
the quick
The
map services.
satellite?
Yeah,
okay.
the satellite.
Yeah, I think what I found was I normally use both Google and Bing because
Google
they
and Bing.
normally come at different time of the year. Some of them during the summertime, some of them during the winter time. So in the winter time, you can see them much more clearly because your leaves are fallen. So you can see the streams. But if you're in a forested area, sometimes you may not see some of those streams. So I use more than one just to check it to make sure they're okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Where the leaves fall. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to have true coffee break now. So what time we need to come back?
20 minutes, okay.
So the people on the online, you can tell them too.
Yeah, so 10:25 we'll be back.
Okay, 10:25, okay.
Thanks.